Hi, I'm Chris Wardlaw for CarGurus, and today we're going to talk about the pros and the cons of the refreshed 2016 Acura MDX. Without further ado, let's get right to it, starting with three of my favorite things about the MDX. Now, earlier this year, my family and I took an Acura MDX up to San Francisco for a 4-day road trip. And it proved to me that this is one of the great road trip machines. Aside from a slight bit of road noise, this is super comfortable. The engine's powerful. It gets decent gas mileage. We thoroughly enjoyed ourselves. Now, my test car is the updated 2016 MDX. It's the advanced package model with the rear entertainment system. And in the advanced package, you get perforated Milano leather seats that have heating and cooling. You get heated outboard second row seats. Rear seat occupants have their own air conditioning controls, and if you've got the entertainment system with the advanced package, everybody has a wide array of entertainment choices. So you just set the cruise control, you pop the integrated dynamics system into comfort mode, and you can pile on the highway miles with no problem. There's plenty of room in the second row seat. For two kids, you can put three back there if one of them's not in a car seat. But I'll tell you right now, the third row seat is good for kids only. And you're only going to want to use it on occasion because when kids are seated back there, they're very close to the tailgate, which kind of puts them in the crush zone if somebody hits the back of the SUV while you're stopped. Now, cargo space, not that generous if you're using the third row seat. You've only got 15 cubic feet to work with, and that's stacked to the ceiling. If you fold the third row seat, you've got about 40 cubic feet, depending on how it's measured. Acura provides two different measurements, but it's about 40 cubic feet. It's plenty of room for a family road trip, no problem at all. Now, another nice thing about the Acura MDX is that there's clearly been a lot of attention to detail put into the design and execution of this interior. Now, everything is relative, of course, right? And last week I was driving a Cadillac Escalade Platinum, which has leather covered everything, suede microfiber all over the cabin. But Cadillac didn't pay attention to a lot of the details, like the way that things slide and open and the way the buttons feel and the knobs. And like, look at the texturing right here on this knob. You've got these almost serrated edges here that help you to grip the knob, and then there's a bit of style associated with it, and the material itself feels solid and robust. And that's kind of the impression that I get about everything in the cabin, that it's going to last a good long time. And as a result, I actually feel like this MDX, which is almost half the price of that Escalade I was driving, is actually the more luxurious vehicle. Now, another great thing about the 2016 MDX is that it is super safe. It gets top crash test ratings from the federal government and the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety. And this year, Acura has introduced its new Acura Watch suite of high-tech safety features. They include things like blind spot information, lane departure warning, forward collision warning with automatic emergency braking, and new features including lane keeping assist and a road departure mitigation system. Now, I think that all of those technologies work really well, but I have to tell you, the lane keeping assist system, when you activate it, it's a little eerie watching the steering wheel kind of move without any input from you as the system attempts to keep the MDX right in the center of the lane. Personally, I prefer to keep that one off. All the other ones, thumbs up. Now that we've talked about some of my favorite things about the MDX, it's time to discuss a few of its flaws, and a couple of them are fairly significant. Now, before you go out and get a new MDX, there's something you need to know, and that is that a redesigned 2016 Honda Pilot just rolled into showrooms. Now, what's the big deal about a Pilot? It's based on the same platform, uses the same powertrains, and a lot of the same technology that's installed in this Acura. Now, I personally think that the Acura remains the better looking vehicle, and it does come with some exclusive content that you can't get on the Honda. Nevertheless, it's pretty clear that the value proposition for buying an MDX just got a lot harder to justify. Now, another thing that I'm not crazy about when it comes to the MDX is this dual screen infotainment setup. For some reason, I look at this control panel and I can never remember which screen controls what and where the controls might be located for me to find what it is that I want to do. So for example, I wanted to turn on the ventilated seats when I got in this car today because it's so hot here in Southern California right now. And I just looked at this and I thought, where on earth did they put it? These are the climate controls, but I don't see any seat controls here. Oh, I see. They're kind of on the screen, and then, well, there's a blank seat icon here. I wonder what that does. So I push it, opens up a menu, and then I can choose heating or cooling. And then to turn it on maximum, I have, oh, it disappeared. Hold on. Then to turn it on maximum, I have to hit it 3 times. So there are 4 touchscreen motions that have to be taken to turn the ventilated seats on maximum. The other problem I have is I'm aging and my eyes are going bad and I have bifocal sunglasses. And I've got 2 screens here. One is deeper in the dashboard than the other. This one's often showing different graphics than this one. The controls for this screen are down here. The controls for this screen are all right here on the screen or located just below or above. And I look at this and I just think to myself, what a jumbled mess. I can't figure it out. And it's so distracting because, I mean, I'm not driving right now, but if I am driving, I'm double taking, I'm looking. And you saw when I was messing around with these ventilated seat controls that if I didn't take action fast, the screen disappeared. And I looked back and I had the radio screen back up. So frustrating. Acura, please devise some kind of a widescreen, split screen, single panel for everything, okay? Give me knobs for tuning and volume and power and make it easy for me to turn on the ventilated seats, please. Another problem that I have with the 2016 MDX, and this is probably the biggest one, is that they decided to fix something that wasn't broken. And by that I mean they replaced the transmission and they replaced the transmission shifter. A little bit of backstory first. The EPA is asking every car maker to increase fuel economy standards. Everybody is scrambling to figure out how to make everything more fuel efficient. Doesn't matter if gas is cheap. All car makers have to make more fuel efficient vehicles. Acura's solution with the MDX this year is to install a 9-speed automatic transmission and get rid of the 6-speed automatic from last year. In the process, they added a combination of switches and buttons here on the center console that, I mean, it's fairly easy to use. It's not necessarily intuitive. I assume after you've owned the car for a while, you get the hang of it. But it doesn't save any space on the console, so I don't know why the buttons would be here in the first place. Second of all, it's located right next to the cup holders. And you know exactly what's going to happen to those buttons the first time that somebody spills a vanilla latte in there. Now, as far as the transmission itself is concerned, last year with the 6-speed, I thought the MDX's powertrain was magnificent. Powerful, transmission always shifted right when you thought it should, exactly as you expected it to, never drew attention to itself. This 9-speed seems to lurch a lot. It seems to shift when you don't expect it to. It doesn't shift when you want it to. The paddle shifters I don't find are much help given that there are 9 different gears to go through. You're constantly referencing the display between the gauges to figure out where you are when you're manually shifting. Ah, man, I'll tell you. The other thing is that if you get an MDX with the advanced package, you're going to get a new idle stop feature which shuts the engine off when you're sitting at an intersection. That's great. It does help save fuel. But this particular system is a little bit rough. When the engine shuts off, there's a little bit of a shudder in the vehicle, and then you can easily beat it, even when you're not trying, when you shift from the brake to the accelerator pedal. And so there's a little bit of a delay and then a lurch off the line. I know that getting that extra 1 or 2 miles per gallon is important to Acura, but man, does it come at a cost. So what's the verdict when it comes to the 2016 Acura MDX? Should you go test drive one right away? Is this a work in progress, or should you cross it right off your shopping list? Here's the thing. When an automaker strives to continually improve its products, the end goal should be that people like the product more and not less. For me personally, the reverse seems to be happening. I like the 2016 model less than I like last year's model. I like last year's model less than I liked the previous generation MDX, which had all kinds of personality and was terrific fun to drive. Now don't get me wrong, this MDX is a great vehicle. It's very practical, it's roomy, it's comfortable, it exudes quality, except for the transmission, it's fun to drive. But I would say that it's no longer the clear choice in the segment, and so I would recommend that in addition to test driving the MDX, you check out some of the competitors as well. For more information, be sure to read my full review on CarGurus.com, and thanks for watching.